What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Yes, I know. I've seen you guys saying that I'm Mr. Reliable is late. Mr. Reliable is late. I know. I couldn't get in. I couldn't get in. Usually, I have like the keys to the car. I mean, I don't want to get too technical about it, but I couldn't actually get in. You need you need the stream key to start, and it was the same one as the last one, and they were still streaming. I couldn't get in. I was waiting here the whole time. I was going, oh. People, we want to chat. We want to break down. We want to chat and break down this 2-0 victory for Manchester United. But I couldn't start. And the pressure, by the way, of having the nickname on this channel of Mr. Reliable and not starting on time. Oh, I was losing my mind. Guys. But we're ready. We're here. Manchester United have won. They've somehow they've won by 2-0 in the Champions League, and Manchester United are through to the knockout stages of the Champions League as well. There's a lot to get into. There's a lot to break down. Obviously, there's some positivity in that we won. There's not a lot of positivity in terms of the performance and all that kind of stuff, but we will get into all of that. G421 says Owen was locked out like Jones. Exactly. I couldn't get in. I was banging on the door. I was locked out like Donny van der Beek and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I was sat here chewing my gum, throwing it on the floor, all this kind of stuff. I was, come on. I need to start. A lot of people said nice haircut as well. Yes, I have had the trim. I'm one of those guys, and I know I've already gone on a tangent already, but you know me, guys. This is what we do on the match reaction. We talk about football, we talk about anything. I'm one of those guys that doesn't keep my hair very consistently one length. I'll get a haircut and then I'll just stop for like 3 months, and then it'll go disgusting, and I'll look like a tramp, and then I'll have to start again. It's one of those things. It's one of those things. But thank you, everyone, complimenting me on the haircut. I try. But yes, Villarreal 0, Manchester United 2. Oh, there's a lot to get into there. There's a lot to get into. Lux Hill says, "Man, burn Owen soon." Do you know what? I'm not even going to hide the fact that I did try that once, and I got to that like halfway point, and it was awful. Like, that should never, ever see the light of day. So, never. But getting into the match, broad strokes, and then we'll get into the actual performances and, you know, the more key points of that game. And as always, guys, let me know where you're watching from. Let me know your thoughts on the match. Let me know your thoughts on the performance. Let me know your thoughts on all of it. And we'll get your comments up on the screen. So, to be honest with you, it's the same. It's really the same. If you had gone up to space, like Elon Musk or Richard Branson or Jeff Bezos, if you were a billionaire and you'd gone up to space for a couple of days, like 72 hours, 48 hours, and you had no idea that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had been sacked by Manchester United, and you came back down to earth, you watched the TV, and you had, Manchester United on, I'm going to watch the game, and you didn't know Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was sacked, you'd have watched that and thinking, well, that's the same performance. It's exactly the same. It was exactly the same. That was an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer performance in the Champions League this season. Not great, not pretty. Keeper has to bail us out a couple of times in making world-class saves. Cristiano Ronaldo scores a goal, and we get another one through. It wasn't necessarily too much, I would say, individual brilliance this time around, but certainly player errors from Villarreal side and them just not having the quality. It was the same. It was the same performance. And to be honest with you, why should we think it's going to be any different? It's the same performance and same philosophy and same tactics because it's really the same people. It's the same people. It's the same coaches. It's the same training sessions. It's the same setup, and it's therefore the same philosophy that there was under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So what do we expect? But that really was the best case scenario we could probably have hoped for. There was a lot of worry, myself included. I know Flex mentioned it, and a lot of you guys mentioned it, that, you know, there was a lot of concern and worry, really, going into this game, being like, we've got a guy as a caretaker manager that's managing his first ever game at like a managerial elite level, or his first ever game in general. It could go really bad for us. And for a brief period of time, it looked like that might be the case. And we've come away from it, and we've qualified for the next round, and we kept a clean sheet. You know, so that's really the best case scenario. Smash and grab performance, but we'll take it. Super chat from Ray Diaz says, "Sorry you lost DJ to the match view, Owen. Maybe you still KG for the match reaction. Sancho, can we get Van der Beek in with Bruno? Please, we're out of the group." Yes, DJ is obviously was on the match view. I think he did a great job, by the way. If you're watching DJ, or if you watch after the fact, tremendous job. It's not easy. It's not easy just to... You would think it's easy to sit there and watch and talk, but it's not. You know, a lot of people, when they sit and watch games, they might just sit and not say anything, or they could be silent watchers. So I think he did a great job. And was he eating hula hoops? I mean, you know what? I was going to criticize him for eating a hula hoop. So I was going to go, what are you, 5 years old? But I love hula hoops as well. And who am I to talk? I have the palate of a 5-year-old. I still eat breaded chicken and chicken nuggets most days. So who am I to criticize? Who am I to criticize? KG for the match reaction. I'm not sure I can deal with that level of recklessness, to be honest, Ray. I'm not sure I can deal with those kind of reckless opinions. It might make my head explode. It'd be a lot of fun, but it might make my head explode. When it comes to can we get Sancho, can we get Van der Beek with Bruno? We'll get to that, because that's one of my sort of notes, shall we say, that I wrote down, certainly. What else are people saying? Martin James says, De Gea, what sweet saves tonight. Paul Lucas says that Sancho goal was top drawer, unsavable from a difficult angle. Tremendous finish, it really is. DJ197 says, you want the style of play to change after one game? Give Carrick a break. No, I don't, and I wasn't expecting it to. I wasn't expecting it to. I'm not saying that. I expected a style change. I'm saying it was the same, and I expected it to be the same. It was no different. You can't look at that game and say it's any different from an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era. I mean, obviously people can have different opinions. You might have your different opinion. That's more than welcome here at United View. This is not a dictatorship by any stretch of the imagination. People have different opinions. That's what this community is about. It's about dialogue. It's about engaging. It's about debating and having those kind of different contrasting opinions. My opinion was I saw that game, and for large parts it was a tough watch. It was a boring watch at times, but I didn't expect to see scintillating football. I didn't expect to see a radical formation change at all. I expected to see the same because it's the same people. Therefore, you should expect the same results. The positives is that we won. The positives are that we're out of the group, and it really is the best case scenario. It's the best case scenario that we could have wished for, but there are still still massive issues, and there are still, not wanting to focus on the negatives once again, but there are still feelings coming out of that game being like, if we play like that against Chelsea, and that's really the same that we've had all season, isn't it? Of getting through games, smash and grab, scraping a victory, or just getting through when it's difficult. And don't get me wrong, teams have difficult games. We've had a lot of them. But my concern again would be Chelsea at the weekend now, because if we play like that at times, that's the thing. But the positive is, look, he might be in for 1 game, 2 games. He did his job. Michael Carrick said it in the press conference, and it resonated with me at the time when he said it, because I felt it was absolutely true and the right thing he said. He was asked by a journalist, I forget the journalist's name, but he was asked by a journalist, what message would you send to the Manchester United fans? And he said at the time, I could say a lot of things. I could say it's been going great in training, which it has been. I can say that we're working hard, all that kind of stuff, but it doesn't really matter. What matters and what the fans truly care about is results. And tonight, it was a result. That's what we got. We got a result. Performance really wasn't there, but we got a result, and we're through to the next round. And that's all that can be asked of Michael Carrick. That's all that can be asked. He can just say, look, obviously, I'm new to this. Obviously, in comparison to a more experienced or elite manager, I don't really know too much what I'm doing, but I got a result in an away Champions League game against a well-coached side like Villarreal, against a good manager in Unai Emery. He got a result, and you can't ask for much more than that, can you? So we can go in to set up and all that kind of stuff, and I'm hesitant to go in completely on Michael Carrick in terms of that, because I think what's said needs to be said, to be honest with you, but We'll take it. We will absolutely take it. Aditya Roy says he got the job done. The thing is, he got the job done. That's it. That's exactly it. But it's not one of those situations where it's not one of those situations where it's like, we won 2-0, Carrick to the end of the season. It's not, I can just see Atalanta scored, by the way. They're 1-0 up against Young Boys. I tell you what, that BT Sport goal show is actually really good. It really is good. Not advertising. Stay and watch this, or just have it on in the background. Do what you want. But let's get into the match. Let's get into some performances. Let's get into, obviously, the starting 11 as well. So Donny van der Beek started, which was a big deal considering his performance at the weekend. He was arguably Man United's only sort of shining lights coming out of that Watford defeat. Started as a 10. Martial started as well. This was the confusing thing about the game, is the first 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes or so, it was really tough. It was really tough to figure out what kind of system United were playing, because I mean, it switched eventually, but it looked like they were playing like a diamond in possession with Ronaldo up top with Martial, but then Fred would be out on the left. But when we were sort of out of possession, it went to a flat 4-4-2 with Ronaldo being out on the left. It was quite strange. It was very strange. It was like Ronaldo on the left, but then he went central. It was kind of like, when Pogba plays out on the left in that 4-2-3-1, but he's left, but really he's central. It was kind of like that, but it kind of leaves you exposed on the left-hand side. It was a bit strange. It was, and it didn't work. It really didn't work. And a couple of times Telus got done, who, to be honest with you, I know Telus has his fans, and I like Telus, I do. But for a guy that's well known about his delivery was very poor tonight. I mean, how many corners didn't get past the first man? It was not great, and he got beat a couple of times. He really did. And for that first 20 minutes, I was quite concerned. I was looking at it going, man, we're Manchester United, and we're being quite defensive here. We're behind the ball, and we're trying to effectively grind out a result. And eventually that's what we did. And at the end of it, look, at the end of it, that's all people care about. I said this before on the Solskjaer, and it is true if it's like a one-off or it's just for these sort of, difficult away Champions League nights. In 4 or 5 weeks' time, you only look at the result, really. And it's kind of what Carrick said in the press conference, isn't it? Performances, they tend to sort of come and go as long as they're not consistently bad, and you look at results. That's what you do. You look at results. And he got a result tonight. And I think a lot of people, myself included, I wasn't even sure he would get a result tonight. So I'm thrilled that Manchester United are through. I really am. A bit like before under Solskjaer, I look at it as, okay, we're through, great, but like now what? Now what? Specifically for the Champions League. We'll talk about Chelsea later on, but I say now what in the sense that if we play against an elite team in Europe, whoever that may be, if it's a PSG, a Bayern Munich, a Real Madrid, or whoever it may be, I look at that and I say, are we going to play like that against them? Because they will punish us. It's kind of similar in a sense to the first game we had against Villarreal at Old Trafford, in the sense that if Villarreal had quality, I mean, we're talking about proper quality players. And they do have some decent players, but if they had world-class players, we would have been put to the sword. David De Gea can only do so much, really, can he? They got Etienne Capoue trying to dictate the midfield like prime Xavi, and Danjuma, who's a good player, but it's different to those sort of elite-level players, and that's kind of my concern. It's kind of like, okay, now what? But look, you can only take what game's in front of you, and I sound like Carrick. I sound like Ollie at the same time. You can only play who's in front of you. You can only take it one game at a time. It's true. It's true. But we'll take it. We'll take it because I think, plenty of people probably didn't expect us to get a result tonight, considering the turmoil at the club, considering the brain trust that's still in charge there. So we'll take it. We'll take it. But as I mentioned, the first 15, 20 minutes, it did look like it was going to be a long night. After those first 15, 20, we switched it up. And we went back to that 4-2-3-1. Ronaldo up front, Martial on the left, Donny as a 10, Sancho out on the right. And it got a little bit better. When I say a little bit, I mean about that much. It was not tons better. The press was still... That Man United press is non-existent. I'm telling you, it's non-existent. But in fairness, whilst the press was non-existent in the first half, the 2 goals we get come from Fred winning the ball, right? The first goal, Fred dispossesses Capoue and Ronaldo chips the goalkeeper. The second one, Fred wins the ball again. So whilst we do criticise Fred, I suppose we have to give him credit in the sense that those goals did come from him winning the ball back. In fairness, not wanting to sound like Roy Keane, that is his job. that is his job, to be in there, break up play, win the ball back, and then easily pass it out. But he tends not to do that. If he wins it, he doesn't pass it back. But that is what that is. Again, I'm looking through my notes here because I take notes as I go through the game so I can try and remember everything. If Villarreal did have decent players, certainly at half-time we could have been a couple of goals down. David De Gea, once again, would have been my man of the match today. I thought, again, he made some good saves, particularly one. The world-class one was at the first half. was that second half? It was second half, wasn't it? That world-class save was tremendous. And I put this on social media. I put it on social media with a clip, and then BT deleted the clip, which was frustrating. It's always annoying that on Twitter, isn't it? When you use the video and then they delete it, and then your tweets looks terrible. But I mentioned it on there. I remember might have been last week, but it's not the first time I've heard this report. We've heard it a couple of times where you hear that the Manchester United players reportedly prefer playing with Dean Henderson over David De Gea. Dean Henderson's more vocal when he comes off his line, all this kind of stuff. There was another report that said that if Dean Henderson had played like David De Gea this season, he would have been dropped. I saw both of those reports and I went, what? What? Who is writing and who is leaking that information to the press? Because it's not accurate. It is not accurate. First of all, the one when it says, if Dean Henderson played like David De Gea this season, he'd be dropped. David De Gea has been arguably one of our best players this season. If it's Ronaldo or it's David De Gea, they're the two this year. It really is. They're the two this season that have been our best players. David De Gea has saved us on so many occasions. Arguably, one of the rare positives about this season so far is that De Gea, despite our really bad defensive record, despite the fact we've conceded the same amount of goals as like Liverpool, Chelsea and Man City combined, David De Gea, if he wasn't in goal, it'd be like twice as many. He has bailed us out of games. The points we do have could be attributed to not only Ronaldo, but also David De Gea. Just how impressive he's been this season. He's right back up to his best form. Yes, he might have made a couple of mistakes. He's always got that in his locker. But David De Gea has bailed us out on so many occasions. So I saw him make that save today, and I went, why? These players can say they would prefer to play with Dean Henderson, but Dean Henderson ain't making that save. Like, Dean Henderson isn't making that save, and some of the world-class saves we've seen this season by David De Gea, Dean Henderson isn't making. And again, I don't mean that as a slight against Dean Henderson. I'm just saying David De Gea is a world-class goalkeeper. We have been blessed at Manchester United to have some of the greatest goalkeepers in the game between the sticks for us over the years, whether it's Peter Schmeichel, whether it's Edwin van der Sar. David De Gea is in that group. He absolutely is in that group. Is he the top of that group? It's a debate, it's subjective, and it's a conversation to have at a later date. But David De Gea once again proves his worth in games like today, because we could have been 2-0 down, 3-0 down if it wasn't for him making crucial saves. You have to ride your luck, and you need that as a top team, even an elite team. You need that. And again, we got a clean sheet. Somehow, some way, we got a clean sheet. That's on David De Gea. That's on David De Gea tonight. So, when I saw those reports previously, they would prefer to play with Henderson. Well, I'm glad they're not picking the team, to be honest with you, because David De Gea should be starting all day, every day. And reasons like tonight's the reason why, or one of the reasons why. That I don't get that. Jaden Sancho, again, I would probably give David De Gea the man of the match, but Jaden Sancho was tremendous, and that wasn't just second half. And even if he hadn't got his goal, which I'm really, really, really happy that he did get his goal, I thought he looked bright. First half, he looked bright. He looked bright. The only frustrating thing was with Jaden Sancho in the first half was that he just didn't get the ball enough. He wasn't given the ball enough. Every time he got the ball, he was taking players on. He'd put in a couple of good crosses, or if anything came, and especially in the first half, but the second half as well, if anything sort of really came about Manchester United looking dangerous or looking threatening, it came from Jaden Sancho. He looked bright. The problem is that the first half, he just didn't get the ball. They just didn't give him the ball. But again, the game for me overall, and specifically that first half, but the second half as well, was evident still that we need an elite coaching staff. Obviously, there's been lots of talks today about Pochettino and interim managers, permanent managers, all that kind of stuff. We talk about a style of play, patterns of play, and that tonight it wasn't any different, and I didn't expect it to be any different. It's because it's the same people in charge. It's the same people doing the same training sessions, doing the same tactics with the same philosophy that's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, as is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's reign. There is no difference at all. There is no difference. And we shouldn't expect there to be any difference. And it was kind of, as I mentioned, the same as the first game. If Villarreal had better players, they would have been winning comfortably, but they didn't, and they don't. They don't have that quality. And because of that, we stayed in the game. And because of the quality we have that they don't have, like Cristiano Ronaldo, like Jaden Sancho, like Bruno Fernandes when he came on. United did pick up when Fernandes came on. Because we have that drags us through games. That drags us through games, and that's kind of it. Sufan says De Gea was man of the match. He's back to his 2016 masterclass performances. Also, Sancho deserved that goal. He absolutely did. Sancho was fantastic. Outfield players, Sancho was the best outfield player on the pitch, but the best player overall on the pitch for me was David De Gea. And that might be goalkeeping bias, I know, but it is what it is. Lamin says, how come the same coaching staff can make the team keep shape without the ball? It was not the best performance, but I pray and hope we're on it against Chelsea. It was not the best performance. I think the positive coming out of it, obviously there are several positives coming out of it. One would be, of course, qualifying, winning. So first of all, winning and qualifying for the knockout round. Another positive, of course, is Jaden Sancho's performance and his first goal for Manchester United. And because of all of that, you could hope, and maybe this is being, a bit optimistic or a bit of delusional optimism, whatever you want to call it. Maybe it's a case of that can sort of push us on at the weekend against Chelsea. It's a really tough game. Chelsea are really on it at the moment. They have such a strong squad, such a real, pinpoint way of playing that's coached in. They've got a great coach. They have a clear philosophy, a clear style of play, and we don't, and we don't. But the positive, hopefully, is that performance tonight can engineer some belief. And maybe that is a bit of delusional optimism for myself. I'm not sure if I fully believe what I'm saying, to be honest with you. Because I do think if we play like we played in the first half against Chelsea, I think if we play like we played at times even in the second half against Chelsea, they will comfortably beat us. And, not to be super negative, I still think they'll comfortably beat us anyway, because it's levels, isn't it? It really is just levels. But the positive, if we focus on tonight, is tonight's match reaction, not the match reaction for Sunday yet. The positive is that we're through. And that's all that we can be asked of Michael Carrick, because obviously he's not going to be in charge that long. He's not the interim manager. He's the caretaker manager. Whether or not we're even going to get an interim manager or we're going to get a permanent manager, we don't know. But all Michael Carrick can do is the task that he's been asked of him, and that's win games. Like he said, get results. He got a result tonight by hook or by crook. Wasn't pretty at all, but he got a result, and we're through to the next round. And that does open up the possibility of, look, if it's a Pochettino and he comes in permanently and we don't have the interim manager, then that opens the possibility of this season isn't over. And I put it out on Twitter today that, for me, I'd much rather we don't go down the interim route. My preferred choice was Ten Hag, but I will take, and I'm a fan of Pochettino, I am. I do think there are questions there, obviously, but I will take Pochettino now over an interim manager to the end of the season any day. The reason I will is because this season is still salvageable. We're in November. We're in the Champions League knockout stage. We can get back into the top four. This season, we can win the FA Cup. This season is still salvageable. With an interim manager, it's kind of, for me, a case of kind of writing the season off, because you never know. Obviously, it depends on the interim, and you can see a bounce, and certain managers can come in, but it's a stopgap. It's an interim. It's in the title. It's an interim manager, and next season you have a reset, and it does kind of feel like a write-off of the season. So if we can get a Pochettino win, look, the foundation's been set, hasn't it? The groundwork's been set of we're through. We're in the Champions League knockout stage. If we get an elite-level manager in with an elite-level coaching staff as well, because I agree with what Paul Scholes said before the game, these coaches, Michael Carrick, Mickey Phelan, Kieran McKenna, they're just all as culpable as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It wasn't a dictatorship. It was a collaborative effort. So every single one of them should be going and be replaced by whoever the manager is, whether it's permanent or interim. They should bring their own coaching staff, and they should bring with them elite coaches, because we're an elite club that has elite players. We can't have guys that are learning on the job or gaining experience with every single game. No, we can't have that. We're Manchester United. There have to be standards, even in this time where standards have been dropped. There have to be standards. Super chat from Ray Diaz said, we may have a chance against Chelsea. Maguire isn't playing, so that can be only a positive. Sancho should not be anywhere but the right wing. Well, when it comes to Maguire as well, once again, and Maguire's getting criticised by everyone, so I'm hardly going to shock you when I said that I didn't think he had a good game tonight. I know we kept a clean sheet, but again, at times I think he looked rash. I think he gets unnecessarily close to players as well. There was a certain time where A Villarreal player had his back to goal. That's fine. If you want to get close to him, that's fine. Don't allow the turn, all that kind of stuff. But he's climbing all over him. He's grabbing him. He's doing all this kind of stuff. And it just felt unnecessary. Like, what are you doing? Especially in European football. European football, we know referees don't like contact. So as soon as you start grabbing people or jumping all over the back, of course the referee's going to blow up. Of course the referee's going to go, that's a free kick or whatever. Of course they are. So I look at that and I just, And in a difficult night as well, you're coming off your manager just being sacked. You're in a away game in the Champions League in a hostile environment. It's a small stadium at Villarreal, but it's on the top of you. The fans are loud, they're rowdy. You need your captain to lead you through it. And at no points in that performance tonight did I look at it and go, I tell you what, Harry Maguire's being a leader. He's pulling us through that one. I never felt that at points tonight. I looked at Cristiano Ronaldo. And even though he was quiet, he was isolated, he was pulling us through. I look at Bruno Fernandes. When he came on, there was a change, there was a shift in mentality, and there was a feeling of, right, come on, we can do this, we can get through this game. I didn't see that through Harry Maguire. I saw it even through David De Gea. I know De Gea's captained us at times. I wouldn't say De Gea would be my first choice to replace Harry Maguire as captain, but it was more of a captain-like performance by Harry Maguire as well. That's certainly what it felt like. What else are people saying here? Vathor, I won't get on the screen, says Maguire should be exchanged for Joe's barbecue and foot massage. There you go. Cam saying no chance against Chelsea at the weekend. Well, look, of course. In football is very strange and you never know, but I am like a lot of people. I'm not not particularly confident, it must be said. We've got nearly 450 people watching, which is actually great for a match reaction when there are games on, especially big games as well, but only 143 likes. So smash a like on the like button. Smash a like for the new haircut, for the new trim. I just did it completely for the likes, guys. That's all I did it for. That's all the vanity. I did it completely for likes. I said to Flexis, we'll get likes up if I get a fade on the side of my head. That's what it'll be for. I didn't. I got it cut because I looked like, people were mistaking me. I was walking down the street, people started throwing money at me. That's probably why. They didn't actually. That would be a new low. that would be a new low for me. But look, we got to half time, and I think like a lot of people, I was a bit not angry because I saw Flex on the match where he kind of was saying the same, and he was getting a little bit angry at points because you do when you watch Man United because you love the team. I was frustrated, shall we say, but also because it was just a slap in the face of reality, really, in the sense that nothing had really changed. Nothing had really changed by the time we got to half time. Their keeper halfway through the game hadn't had to make a save. De Gea had made world-class saves. At points, it was really easy. Frightfully, is that a word? Frightfully. I feel like that's not a word. Frightfully easy to pass it between the lines, pass it through the lines. A couple of times you'd have a Villarreal defender pick the ball up from a short goal kick because they don't go long because it's Unai Emery. The defender would pick the ball up and they would just do a pass. It would just go straight through our midfield, straight to their front line, and that was it. So the ability to pass the ball between the lines, or through the lines rather, was alarming. And again, you go back to it going, I tell you what, if we go up against good players, if we go up against elite players, and it's not even an if, really, is it? Because we've seen it this season. It's the same, like we were saying earlier on in the season, in that we had the games against the likes of West Ham, or even games that we scraped through, or we drew, like Wolves at Molineux, or we drew against the likes of Southampton, etc. And we said, I tell you what, when we play big teams, we will get absolutely slapped, and we did, and we did, and it feels the same like that at the weekend, doesn't it? It really does feel like that at the weekend. I will say a couple of things as well. So Michael Carrick made substitutions, and they were very Ollie-like substitutions in the sense that Donny van de Beek came off, Bruno Fernandes came on, Martial came off, and Rashford came on. Now, I'm not going to criticise the substitutions in the sense that they didn't affect the game or change the game, because they did. Bruno came on and really added to the game. He started linking up straight away. Again, I think it was almost a positive in the sense that there's kind of this feeling at times, certainly under Ollie, that Bruno Fernandes was undroppable. You couldn't drop him. And he's proved tonight, Carrick, in the sense that maybe Donny didn't have his best game, but we've got options. We should use them, certainly in games. And sometimes with players like Bruno Fernandes, the majority of the time, 90% of the time, he should be starting. But sometimes send a message being like, okay, you haven't been playing well. He didn't play well against Watford, and there have been games this season where he hasn't played well. Put him on the bench, and he came on and he played well. And he can be effective off the bench as well. So I'm not going to criticise the substitutions that much. I think what it does say, though, is that Michael Carrick, and he said this himself, to be honest, so it is no shock. He said it in the press conference when he was asked about tactics. Can we expect any tactical changes or surprises? He said, look, obviously I have my own way of thinking and my own personality, but I worked with Ollie for a long period of time because we're very aligned in our viewpoints. We're very aligned in our footballing philosophy and our tactics. I think the same way as Ollie. That's why I worked with him for ages and I got on with him very well for ages. So it should serve as no surprise that he took Donny van der Beek off for Bruno Fernandes because he, like Ollie and like the rest of that coaching staff, view Donny van der Beek solely as a number 10. That's how they view him. At times when they've played him as an 8 or even a 6 at points this season, they kind of feel like they're sort of square pegs and round holes kind of situation. They're shoehorning him in, but they think he is most effective as a number 10, and that's really it. So we shouldn't be surprised that Donny comes off for Bruno because that's how they see him. That's how they see him. They see him as a like for like, and it was kind of Solskjaer-esque in the sense that the substitutions were like for like. But I can't criticize them because they did change the game. A lot of people have been saying Aaron Wan-Bissaka. R10 says, can someone put up a poll for Owen's haircuts? Oh, R10 not a fan. I had to get it cut somewhere. This is usually when I have a haircut, this is what I get. I've had people say that I tried to steal Scott McTominay's haircut, and I'm no oil painting anyway, so it's kind of like glittering a turd. It's still a piece of shit. So that's kind of the viewpoint of the haircut. I never knew the haircut was going to be this divisive. That's why I've got to wait long before the haircuts. If I keep things the same, then people just don't like change. What I do want to single out is Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who did not have the best games tonight. He didn't, and he is. I saw some people. I saw Cam. I saw Cam on Twitter say that he thinks Aaron Wan-Bissaka is possibly the worst defender in Manchester United history. And I was a bit like, well, maybe that's a step too far. I'm pretty sure there's some obscure Manchester United defenders we can go. They were not great. So I'm not sure if Wan-Bissaka was necessarily up that level. But he wasn't good tonight, and he had a performance tonight of everything that we kind of know really about Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and that his technique on the ball is subpar. It's not good. His passing is not good. His control of the ball is not good. It's not. The thing is that I find a bit funny with him, like I said before, I think it's a bit of a myth about Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and some people rate him. KG rates him. I know some of you guys rate him as well, and that's what it's about. It's about opinion. But I think it's a bit of a myth, to be honest, that Aaron Wan-Bissaka is really good defensively, because he's great at last-ditch tackles. It's off the line at Stamford Bridge. Didn't go over the line. Just seeing a highlight. Was that Morata as well? Morata didn't play for him. Who does Morata play for now? Goes around clubs like nobody's business, doesn't he? Oh, it was close, though. It was Morata. Yeah, just completely distracted. Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I think it's a myth that he's good defensively, because greater last-ditch tackles. My viewpoint is, though, that if you're a good defender, you don't have to do last-ditch tackles because you don't get caught out in terms of position-wise. Obviously, sometimes you're bailing out your fellow defender, but a lot of the time, if you're having to do sliding tackles all the time, whether it's to block the ball or win the ball back, it's because you're out of position a lot. So again, that could go back to defensively. I think it's a bit of a myth that he's this, unbelievable defender. He's just terrible going forward. There are so many times, you saw it even in today's game, where he has no clue what's over his shoulder. He'll be watching the ball, and there'll be a defender that comes in. Yes, there should be someone tracking him back down the right-hand side, whoever's playing there, but he has no clue that they're there at all. Whether he doesn't get a shout or whether he's not checking his shoulder or whatever that may be, it happens so many times. And tonight he didn't have a good game. as Shamir says, Dallow's defending is subpar and Wan-Bissaka's ball control and passing is atrocious. And I think that's kind of the problem. In that, and I said this in the summer as well, the rumours and the reports about Kieran Trippier possibly coming into United in the January transfer window and Dallow moving to Roma to link up once again with Jose. I said in the summer, if we got Kieran Trippier this past summer, people would have been surprised how many games he would have played for United, because the impression kind of was at the time that he was coming in as kind of a bit of a backup kind of figure, a Telus-like figure to Wan-Bissaka's Luke Shaw, you know what I mean? In the sense that, well, Trippier will be there to sort of push Aaron Wan-Bissaka on. I'm telling you now, if Aaron Wan-Bissaka, if Kieran Trippier came in, Aaron Wan-Bissaka wouldn't have played as many games this season. He just wouldn't have. Because Kieran Trippier is better at defending. In terms of a defensive shape, he is better. He's arguably better going forward as well. And again, I know people have their... They really like Wan-Bissaka, and it is subjective. But again, I think it's a bit of a myth. For instance, Carl Harrison says this is a joke. And Wan-Bissaka is one of the best one-on-one defenders. He has other issues, but it can't be defending as a principle. He might be good at one-on-ones, and he might be good at like last-ditch tackles or sliding tackles, whatever. But that's not everything, and especially as the modern-day right-back, it's far more than just that. Going forward, we know he's not as effective going forward. He's not great going forward. I find it crazy to think that he used to be a winger growing up as well, when his crossing ability is subpar. Again, there are several aspects and facets to defending as well, in the sense that, last-ditch tackles, slide tackles, and one-on-one, that's great. His defensive position isn't good enough. Playing out from the back isn't good enough. He has no idea a lot of the time what's over his shoulder. It's far more than that. JF says, Aaron Wan-Bissaka lacks spatial awareness. It's true. There are other parts of it. And I do think that if Kieran Trippier had come in the summer, I think Trippier would have played more games. But also from a Wan-Bissaka development point of view, I think in the same way as Luke Shaw last season, I do think that would have pushed him on. Because I do think part of the problem with Wan-Bissaka at Manchester United is he's not getting pushed on by Diogo Dalot being his understudy or being his rival at right back, because he knows he's going to play, because he is better than Diogo Dalot. If he came in, Trippier, and someone that's won a league title in Spain and played in the Champions League final for Spurs, that would push Wan-Bissaka on. Either you get up to my level or you go. And I think that would be positive for his development as well. And also just learning from someone like Kieran Trippier anyway. He's very experienced. And I think that's part of the problem too. Is there a good player in there at Wan-Bissaka? There's a lot he needs to improve. There is a lot he needs to improve. But in terms of, I think about a coach that's more of a technical coach, maybe like a Pochettino, and it is about passing the ball around and all that kind of stuff too, or retaining possession, having a good press. Is Pochettino going to take a look at Wan-Bissaka and go, I'm looking at your technical ability and it's just not there. That Fat Thor says, Owen, could Wan-Bissaka be converted into a DM and focus on breaking play like Makelele? I don't see that, Fat Thought, in the sense that Makelele was incredibly technically gifted, which Wan-Bissaka isn't. He'd have to improve his ball distribution significantly, which arguably it's one of the worst points of Wan-Bissaka's game is his technical ability right now. Vic Machine says an interesting point here. Wan-Bissaka's best position hasn't been tried yet. Right of a back three. Who knows? Just again, and that might be good if he was the, sometimes you have a back three, but you have basically two centre backs, and the third centre back is almost like a full back that's converted for pace as a backup. Then yeah, maybe. But again, it's just this is opinion. Remy, there you go. Remy disagrees. Says you're chatting rubbish. Wan-Bissaka is not that bad. Look, everyone's got their opinions. I respect yours, and I'm not necessarily saying mine's right. I'm just a Man United fan. That's what these channels are. I appreciate the dialogue, and I appreciate the conversation. That's how we grow. That's how we learn. That's how we develop better, more educated, well-rounded opinions. I don't think, I'm not saying Wan-Bissaka's bad either. I don't. He's playing for Manchester United. He can't be that bad. I question a lot of facets of his game. I question his technical ability. I question his ability to pass the ball, to go forward, make crosses. I question his ability to constantly be aware what's going on around him, over his shoulder. He's great at making last-ditch tackles. He's great at intercepting the ball. He is good at one-on-one tackling. But there's way more than that in the modern day fullback, let alone an elite level right back that we're talking about should be at Manchester United. That's the issue. That's the issue for me. But we'll move on and we'll talk about the goal. Cristiano Ronaldo scores goals again. I think he broke some record tonight. I think, because 5 Champions League games have been played so far. Cristiano Ronaldo, I saw, Cristiano Ronaldo scored, I think he's the first guy for an English team to score in 5 consecutive Champions League games. 36-year-old, breaking records. It is incredible. It absolutely is incredible. It was a smash and grab. No doubt about it. And it kind of came from nowhere. We were getting back in the game a little bit, but it's a poor goalkeeping pass, puts Capoue immediately under pressure. Fred wins it back. Have to give Fred credit. Because we do like to, or people certainly like to criticise Fred. I've criticised Fred. I think at points today, Fred was not great. Arguably, it was certainly one of the better games he's actually had for Manchester United, no doubt about that, because he was fundamental in both goals for winning the ball back, which is his job, obviously. But Fred wins it back, Capoue gets robbed, and Cristiano Ronaldo lobs the goalkeeper 1-0. And it's kind of a case of Villarreal's quality got to them, because realistically, Villarreal had chances. De Gea made great saves. But when you have a Cristiano Ronaldo in your side, you're always going to have a chance. And that's what happened. He scores goals on the big stages, on the absolute big stages. He scores goals, and teams in Europe are afraid of him for that reason. And certainly on Champions League nights, because he's Mr. Champions League. He absolutely is Mr. Champions League. Richard Littlewood says here, Fred has to cover 3 positions due to the clueless, lazy players on the left-hand side. I do think, in fairness, Richard, what you're getting at is a good point there, because I did notice that myself in the first half. I saw in the first half when we were playing that like diamond or 4-4-2, that when Ronaldo was kind of out on the left, but then he was kind of central, that Fred was on the left-hand side, and that meant essentially he was having to track back as a left winger, if you will, but also do the running in central midfield, because Donny was pushing up at times as a 10 too, which is difficult, which is very, very difficult. I think Fred, he did all right tonight, especially as well. At one point, we all thought Fred had broken his ankle, or he'd gone off, done his cruciates. He got his ankle, he got his foot stuck in the ground, and they can go either way. They can really go either way, can't they? I mean, that can get you out for the rest of the season, or you worry because, you get back up and you think, am I okay? And then you start putting some pressure on it and you're all right. So I'll give Fred credit tonight. Absolutely, I'll give Fred credit, because he was instrumental in 2 of the goals, and you have to give him credit for that. Mohammed says, we had the job done under enormous pressure and chaos, and I'm happy. Absolutely. And I agree with that, Mohammed. Like, again, I'll look at the overall performance. Wasn't great. It wasn't. Certainly at times, but I'll absolutely take it. Because I think it was the best case scenario for Manchester United, really, when you look at it. Maybe the best case scenario is, 5-0, unbelievable performance, scintillating stuff, but that was never going to happen, ever. We should be expecting that level of change, to be honest, in just a couple of days with the same coaching staff. But clean sheet, scored 2 goals. Sancho scored his first goal, and we're through. That's all we can ask for. We're through with a game to play. We should be going through because it's an easy Champions League group. When this group was drawn, we were very happy with it because it was an easy Champions League group. But we'll take it. We absolutely take it. The second goal, Jaden Sancho, obviously it's his first goal for the club. What a finish. What a finish. It was probably our best bit of play of the evening, to be honest with you. The first goal, as I said, was a defensive error and a bit of brilliance by Ronaldo to chip the goalkeeper. But the second goal was a proper counter-attack. It was. Fred wins it back. Ronaldo passed. I think McTominay passed it as well. But that little sort of interplay you had, Ronaldo passed Rashford and then cuts it back, goes to Sancho. He cut it back, and was it like Bruno just missed it? And then Sancho gets it out of his feet, smashes it in off the bar. Difficult finish in a difficult angle. It's a great counter-attack. It's a great finish, and it's a great goal. And I'm really, really happy. I'm really happy for Jaden Sancho because obviously he's been getting not a lot of stick, but certain people, you see in the German media, the whole 007 thing, or people talking about him declining at Manchester United, all that kind of stuff. A lot of people were saying it before the game. A lot of people were saying it, during the game, that Sancho was one of our brightest players even when we weren't playing well in this game. His performance deserved a goal tonight, and I'm really happy for him because when he came on at the weekend as well against Watford, we talk about Donny arguably being, the shining light coming out of the Watford game, but Sancho when he came on against Watford was good as well. He gets the cross in the box for the Donny header, doesn't he? And there was a bit of interplay by Sancho and Donny when he came on that kind of said, okay, Jaden Sancho, that's the Jaden Sancho we've been looking for. And tonight he continued it. In the first half, like when we weren't playing well, he was a bright spark. He just didn't get the ball enough. Second half, again, he continued that. He did look dangerous, and I'm really happy for him. I'm really happy for him. Fingers crossed, it's the beginning of him really starting to kick on. Can he do that whilst this sort of, all this chaos is kind of going on at Manchester United at the moment with caretaker managers, interim managers, permanent managers? Who knows? But I was thrilled. I was absolutely thrilled, and it was a great goal. Ray Diaz says, this team is such a question mark until, one, we know who the interim is, and two, when Varane comes back, Varane getting hurt was a huge reason for Ollie's firing. I mean, yes and no, to be honest, Ray. I agree with the beginning part of the team is a question mark till we find out who the interim is, or at least what is the plan going forward. The second part, I don't... Did Raphael Varane getting hurt, hinder Ollie and play a part in his firing? I mean, when you lose a top player, of course it's going to hurt you. But to be honest with you, we weren't keeping clean sheets with Varane in and out in the side as well. We still conceding goals. Yes, we kept, the clean sheets we did keep this season were with Varane playing. That was against Wolves and that was against Spurs. But whilst he was in the side, we were still conceding goals. So obviously, did it play a part? Maybe. Did it play a huge part? No. There were far bigger things, in my opinion, that contributed to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer getting sacked. His tactics, not surrounding himself with elite coaches, insistence on McFred, or favouritism on certain players, leaving out Donny van der Beek. All that kind of stuff played into Ole Gunnar Solskjaer getting fired, in my opinion. Paul says, so happy for Jaden. Fat Thor says, Sancho is growing in confidence. Richard says, think whoever plays on that right side suffers a bit because no one wants to pass to Wan-Bissaka. Cam says, lottery manager, what name falls out is the winner. Mohammed says, Sancho work rate was top. He had to track back all game and long and helped Wan-Bissaka. Neil Alcaraz says, Ronaldo's reluctance to press, I think, cost Ollie his job overall. I agree he is a phenomenal player, but his presence changed the way we play as a team. I'm very, very hesitant, very hesitant to criticize Cristiano Ronaldo. Does he press? No. But he never really has. He never really has. And as a manager, you should know that. You should know what you're getting. You're getting one of arguably the greatest player of all time. Is he going to press and hustle players? No. But you alter your tactics, or you change your tactics to get the best out of your players, and he didn't do that. And also, I'm reluctant to criticize Cristiano Ronaldo anyway, because this is the guy that's bailed us out time and time again, specifically in the Champions League this season. We're through to the knockout stages because of Cristiano Ronaldo. He has scored in every single Champions League game this season. He has scored late winners and late equalizers. So I cannot criticize Cristiano Ronaldo. I certainly can't say that he cost Ole Gunnar Solskjaer his job. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer ultimately cost himself his job because he didn't get results. He didn't get the job done, and he was stubborn in the sense that he stuck with certain selections and certain players, and he made bad mistakes in terms of his decisions, and you live and die by those decisions. He made Harry Maguire the captain. He stuck with McFred. He stuck with 4-2-3-1 for the longest time. All these kind of things. He stuck with those coaches. He didn't get in elite level coaches around him to sort of, help himself because he was inexperienced at an elite level. All those kind of things Ole Gunnar Solskjaer could have done and maybe should have done, and maybe he would still be in a job right now. So you live and die by those decisions. I'm reluctant, very reluctant to say that Cristiano Ronaldo played a part in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's losing his job, because arguably Ronaldo, his late goals kept Solskjaer in a job maybe longer than he should have been in there for, in my opinion. I don't really understand. I don't understand how a lot of people can criticize Cristiano Ronaldo, in my opinion. But like I said, overall, Thrilled, obviously, that we're through. We will take it, despite the performance maybe not being there. But what should we expect? We shouldn't expect any massive difference because it is the same. It is the same. My concern is we play like that against Chelsea. It may not be pretty, and I don't know about you. I'm kind of done. I'm kind of done with the being embarrassed and humiliated this season, but you never know. You never know. Again, my worry is if we play against Chelsea like that, I'll be worried. But as Carrick said in his press conference on Monday, it's about results. Ultimately, right now, especially right now, that's all it's about. It's about results. It's about getting over the line. We've got over the line in the Champions League. That's all can be asked for of Michael Carrick and Manchester United. Just win. Just win. Get results. We'll have something arguably a little bit more permanent in terms of an interim manager, or something definitively permanent if it's Mauricio Pochettino coming in. And we'll know more about that certainly in the coming days. The Poch thing is fascinating, really, when you look at it, isn't it? I mean, if you haven't seen it, so obviously Solskjaer went on the weekend, on Sunday, but since then, the announcement was made Carrick would be caretaker, and there would be an interim, and then there would be a permanent. But since then, this Pochettino thing has kind of exploded in the sense that the feeling is that Pochettino would be open to coming to Manchester United right now. He wants the Manchester United job, and he'd be open to leaving PSG right now. And PSG would be open to him leaving right now, provided they can get a replacement in, provided they can get their number one target, which appears to be Zidane. Reportedly, it would cost something like 10 million euros to get Pochettino out of his contract. His family still lives in London, so he wants to be back in the UK. He is in love with the Premier League. He adores the Premier League. I think it's the best league in the world. He's not happy or content with the way that PSG is structured, the structure of that club, the way that PSG operates, in the sense that he is a head coach. He's the first team coach, whereas everything else surrounding the club, transfers, ins, outs, even parts of team selection, is kind of dictated to him by the sporting director there, Leonardo, and he's not happy with that. He's not happy with that, and I don't think PSG also, whilst they're bossing their league, I think they're not particularly happy also with some of the performances on the pitch too. So there is kind of this feeling that there might be a solution here that fits all kind of parties. Manchester United's top target is Pochettino, and PSG want to bring in Zidane. They're willing to let go Pochettino if Zidane wants to come in, and he's willing, reportedly, to come in and work for PSG. Even though he's a Marseille legend and there's rivalry there, he's also an ambassador for the World Cup in Qatar, and of course PSG have Qatar owners, so there has been contact there before. So we could be looking at a situation where we find an agreement that kind of satisfies all parties. Of course, last year PSG got rid of their manager, Thomas Tuchel, in the winter break, which is coming up. So we could see a situation once again where they get rid of their manager, or their manager leaves, rather, in that winter break, and they find a new manager in there. So there's lots of moving parts there, but certainly that has picked up. That has picked up, and it feels like the most likely scenario. I know right before kickoff, there was this story that Romano had tweeted about Valverde, the former Barcelona manager, which alarms a lot of people. Reportedly, that wouldn't be a permanent option. That would be to be the interim coach. But again, he did stress Valverde and all these other interim coaches, they're only going to be brought in by Manchester United if Pochettino can't be convinced or isn't allowed to come to Manchester United mid-season, aka right now. If we can't get Poch right now, then they'll look at that interim option of maybe Valverde, maybe of Laurent Blanc, maybe whoever. Myself, personally, it's late, I'm mixing up my words. Myself, personally, like I said, I'm just not a fan of the interim thing. I think the interim thing is going around circles. I think there are way too many decisions right now at the football club that need a permanent manager there. I think about Donny van de Beek. I think about Paul Pogba. I think about Jesse Lingard. They all rely on there being some kind of long-term vision, some long-term thought process going into Manchester United. With an interim coach and then a permanent coach, there's a lot of change going on, and those players, there's a lot of uncertainty, and it is unsettling for a lot of them. We need total reset. We need it now. The reason I say we need it now is because the season is still salvageable. The season is still salvageable in the sense that it's only November. We are through to the Champions League knockout stages. We can still get back into the Champions League spaces. We can still have a relatively successful season. If we get an interim in charge, For me, it feels like we're just writing the season off. We'll figure it out in the summer, when it's kind of like, but there's still plenty of time to fix things, provided the right decisions are made. With this coaching setup, with this coaching staff, I don't see it being a successful season because I see it being more of the same. That's what it was tonight. But we'll have to wait and see, because this is going to rumble on and on. This is really going to rumble on and on. And over the last couple of days, it feels like it's really picked up. Of course, the irony of irony, football irony being what it is, Pochettino's in Manchester. He's in Manchester because PSG play Man City tomorrow. And it's fascinating, really, isn't it, that you've got a game at the Etihad that has, the reunion of Messi with Guardiola, that has Neymar, Mbappe, that has Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, that has Donnarumma, Sergio Ramos, all of these just unbelievable, tremendous players, and they're not talking about any of them. They're talking about Pochettino, which speaks volumes to what's going on right now. I know he did a press conference today, and he basically said, I'm happy here in Paris, and you think about the present and all this kind of stuff, but it's going to continue. It is going to continue, and I would love for a permanent solution right now. I'm happy with Pochettino on a permanent basis right now. Again, I do think there are some talking points around him and his lack of trophies throughout his career. The irony being, he would win one. If he stayed at PSG this season, he would win the league. They're going to win the league. If he leaves mid-season, I think he'll probably still get a medal, but he's not the guy lifting up the trophy, and people won't talk about that. People talk about him, bottling finals, losing finals, shall we say, and losing finals like he did with PSG as well. That's a question that United fans are going to have. But we do know he has a style of play, he has a philosophy, and he is coached at an elite level, and he has made players better, and he brings through younger players as well. And there are players at the club. There are directors at the club. Sir Alex Ferguson, Ed Woodward, Richard Arnold, the Glazers. They're all a fan of Pochettino. So I would take it. I would take it. But who knows? Part of me thinks Pochettino feels inevitable at this point, but the other part of me goes, Owen, come on, this board. And this club. It would not stun me in the slightest. Laurent Blanc to the end of the season. I mean, I heard the whole Steve Bruce would be interested. Of course he would. I would be interested in taking up the Manchester United job on an interim basis. But I think me and Steve Bruce both have the same likelihood of getting it, to be honest with you. So I don't see that. R10 says, Owen, what would you consider to be a successful season for Man United? At this point, we're not talking about winning the league anymore. We're not. At this point, getting in the Champions League is for another year is successful. And again, I'm reluctant to lower my standards to just that. Given the chaos right now, if we ended the season, say, third, imagine certainly with Liverpool and Chelsea and City ahead of us, but in that top four, playing a progressive style of football, playing an attractive style of football, going on a cup run, getting to an FA Cup final, or winning a trophy right away, considering Ollie didn't do that his entire time at Manchester United, winning a trophy, whether it's the FA Cup or, are we going to win the Champions League? You never know. Knockout football, cup football, tournament football, anything can happen. We've seen it in the past. But getting through to, the latter stages of the Champions League. I mentioned this before. As a United fan at this point, you just want to be involved in the conversation, don't you? We've seen over the last few years, Liverpool get into finals, Tottenham get into finals, Chelsea get into finals, Man City get into the finals. The last final we had was in 2010. And the last semi-final was that year as well, I think. Since then, we haven't been anywhere near, and it's been very frustrating as a Manchester United fan. You want to be involved. You want to be involved, and you want to be part of that conversation. You want to see Manchester United in big matches and playing good football and challenging. And that's all I think Manchester United fans want. Obviously, you want to win trophies and you want results, but at the very least, you want to be challenging. And we've just been nowhere near that. And to answer your question, like I said, getting that top four, which is frustrating to say because going into the season we thought we should be challenging, and going on a cup run, winning the FA Cup, getting to latter stages of the Champions League, which you could laugh at this point and say, well, that performance tonight, that's not going to happen. But a new manager with a style of play, with a certain style of play, anything's possible. This season is still salvageable. So we'll wait and see. Like I said, I think that things are going to be happening. I feel like they are happening, so we'll have to wait and see. United Fan TV. Big up Bradley, one of the moderators. Big up the moderators. You know me, El Presidente of the free seats. It's Bradley's birthday, by the way, today. So I wish a very happy birthday to you, Bradley. Hope you've had a great day and you got a good result. That's all you can ask for. And of course, in health and happiness. maybe health, happiness, and then a Man United result. But it depends. I don't know your priorities, Bradley. That's up to you. As always, guys, be sure to smash a like on the like button as well. We'll wrap things up shortly. And be sure to subscribe to bottom right-hand corner. So I don't know if they're up yet already, but Flex has been recording the fan views virtually, of course, since he hasn't travelled to the away games. So he's going to be recording those fan views. So they're going to be going up shortly. I think he's going to be talking to, of course, DJ. I think he's talking to Saeed. I think maybe Cam as well. So they should be very interesting, as always, to watch. So be sure to check those out. What do we got on tap for the rest of the week? What am I allowed to tell you that we've got on tap for the rest of the week? Plenty to answer that point. I know I'm probably going to be live tomorrow, maybe after the game tomorrow, after the Man City PSG game, because there might be some stuff going on after that game. Who knows? It might be Pochettino's last game. And then, of course, we've got a huge game at the weekend. Huge game at the weekend. Friday, there'll be the press conference. There'll be a match preview. There'll also be the game, of course, on... When is it? It's Sunday. I think it's Sunday. Or is it going to be Saturday? To be honest with you, since Chelsea and United are both playing on Tuesday, it should be Saturday, shouldn't it? I don't know if it is Saturday or Sunday. I have a feeling it's Sunday, but I might be wrong. I recall Sky's thinking, I think it's a Super Sunday, isn't it? But to be honest then, if you're like Liverpool City and you're playing on Saturday, you'd be livid. You would be livid. You'd be like, what? Why has that been moved? That's scheduling, right? That's television. Either way, guys, hope you have a great evening. Hope you have a great remainder of your Tuesday. Manchester United are through to the knockout stages of the Champions League, and we can move on to the game at the weekend. Fingers crossed. And I'm not going to say Carrick at the wheel. I was going to end it with Carrick at the wheel there, but that would be ridiculous. That would be absolutely ridiculous, wouldn't it? But have a good one, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.